Ah, popped off. He broke me off, dude. Dang it, dude. Lost my whole get up, my frog and all, man. Popped me off. That was a monster red too. Monster red. Dang, y'all. Broke the line. That stinks, man. Hate losing fish. Dang it, popped off. What's going on, Salt Strong Nation? Now that was some painful footage to watch, but it's super important. One thing I want to talk to you guys about really quick is when to upgrade your leader size. Now, one thing that's super important when you're choosing your leader size is you always want to choose your leader according to the structure in which you're fishing. As you guys can see over my shoulder, I do have a bunch of docks here behind me. And as I'm fishing these docks, I do come pretty close. And if I happen to hook up to a fish, which is pretty likely fishing around these docks, I definitely don't want to pop off or get hung up or have any breakage from those dock pilings. So one thing I always like to do when I'm fishing these docks is I'll bump up to some 30-pound Andy monofilament. The reason I like using Andy mono, or at least monofilament in general, is because monofilament does have stretch to it. Fluorocarbon does not. When fluorocarbon stretches, it becomes weakened. Mono will stretch without becoming weakened, and it does stand up better to an abrasion test than fluorocarbon. So when you're choosing your leader size, I do normally run a 20-pound Andy monofilament, and that is my everyday all-purpose use. But as I said, when I'm fishing around heavy structure, whether that be like docks I have here behind me or oyster bars, as you'll see in this video right here. I was fishing next to some oyster bars, and while fishing next to those oyster bars, the wind was blowing, and that wind would create a bow in my line, and that bow would go over the oysters. Now, that wasn't always the case, but when that bait ran close to those oysters, and it did dig a little close and maybe nick those oyster bars or so, using that 30-pound monofilament was definitely going to help me better than that 20-pound would. Now, that's not to say I don't have to check my leader frequently if I ever do get hang-ups, to make sure that there's no serious cuts in that line, to make sure that I won't make a cast, hook up to a fish and lose him because of a previously made nick or cut in that line. But that 30-pound leader is definitely going to give you a better advantage. Another time that it's really great to beef up your leader is when you're targeting bigger fish. Now, we know that those bigger fish, especially snook, have really abrasive mouths, and they're those snook mouths are often like sandpaper, and they can chew right through that line. So when you bump up to some 30-pound leader, it's just going to give you a little bit of extra strength. Now, as I said, I am talking about 30-pound Andy monofilament. That's what I normally bump up to. But if you're in really clear water conditions, I know there are some purists out there who believe in fluorocarbon, and that fluorocarbon definitely has its uses for sure. It sinks, it does not float like monofilament. It definitely has its uses, but if you're going to be in some very clear water situations and you feel like that monofilament may be sticking out a little bit too much in that water, it may be a little too visible, fluorocarbon is always going to be an option as well. Right here I do have just some Berkley Vanish, but there are many options to go with in the fluorocarbon realm. Again, as I said, I do normally run the Andy monofilament, and that's just because I've found that it is a great all-around. Now, I will often buy this Andy in bulk spools, and that's because normally when I'm retying my leaders, I'm actually doing it at home. I'm doing it before I even get on the water, so I do like to buy those bulk spools of monofilament, but I do always carry one of each in the 20-pound and 30-pound when I'm coming out here on the kayak or on my boat. I keep one of each of these in my tackle bag, so no matter what situation I face, I can always change or make adjustments based on the structure or location that I'm fishing. Now, just to really quick give you guys a couple other examples of when I might like to up the size of my leader. When I'm throwing a topwater, I will occasionally do that with 30-pound leader, and the reason for that is because topwater generally triggers some killer bite. Those big fish will often get very territorial and frustrated with a walking style bait. So if you're able to work something on the top like a moonwalker, even a wake bait like you see right here, 30-pound leader is just really helpful, especially when you get those strikes from big fish. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys on what type of leader material you guys use. So if you would, let me know down in the comments what you like to use for your leader material, whether it be Andy Mono or some other type of fluorocarbon, or even if you don't use leader and you run straight braid, let me know about that too and why you do it. But if you guys are interested in some more awesome fishing tips just like this one, you guys can check us out at saltstrong.com. We do have a fishing tips page there that is designed to help you become a better angler. We have dozens, thousands, hundreds of fishing tips there to make you a better angler, whether that be finesse tactics, power fishing, for redfish, snook, flounder, it doesn't matter. We have a course or a fishing tip for it. So if you guys are interested in becoming a Salt Strong Insider member, we will leave a link down below for some information in that. We would love to have you in the Salt Strong Insider community, where you can get access to the Smart Fishing Spots app that literally shows you the best time and day to fish an area. So if you guys are interested in any of the tackle that I've mentioned or talked about, we'll leave links for that down below as well. And until next time, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Fish bump. Good red. Oh God. Good redfish on the wake bait. Oh goodness, barely got him. Nice redfish here, y'all. Got that wake bait right there in the side of his mouth. Right there. That's awesome, y'all.